Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Gaither. I'm senior editor at HBCU Gameday.com, and I want to welcome you guys to our Week 1 preview. College football is back, and I'm so excited. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. It's been a long time coming. Ready for the bands, ready for the cheerleaders, and of course, ready for the football. So let's go ahead and get started and just talk about what's going to be going on this year. First of all, we've already had the season start, actually. Howard played at Akron tonight. They lost 41-0, so it's a tough way to start the season. But there's a lot of optimism there at Howard. They have one of the top quarterbacks in the MEAC, Greg McGee. They've got Coach Flea back, and so those guys are figured to be a problem in the MEAC this year. And just a couple other games that we want to highlight. You've got North Carolina Central traveling down the road to Greenville to face East Carolina. Jerry Mack is the new head coach of North Carolina Central. He's taken over for that program, who was on such a great role in 2012, and then they took a step back last year with the coaching change and things like that. So we'll be interested to see what he does. He's one of several new coaches in the MEAC, but we'll get to that as well in a little bit. So next game that we're looking at is South Carolina State against Benedict. That game is an in-state rivalry. It's D2 versus D1. Two former SIAC foes who still keep their rivalry going to this day. So South Carolina State is expected to be one of one of the players in the MEAC this year. So it'll be interesting to see how much of the arsenal they show against Benedict, or how much they save of it. So that'll be something that we're going to be watching. Up in Michigan, you've got Morgan State making its debut under head coach Lee Hull. He's taking over for Coach Donald Hill-Ely, who left the program, who was let go of the program last year. Their release was a long time coming. So they're just trying to get a new day and a new era in Baltimore, and hopefully get the tide turned around. So you've got that. Another new coach, probably the new coach with the most eyes on him in the MEAC, definitely is Connell Maynor. He is over at Hampton. He's moved from Hampton to Hampton from Winston-Salem State, where he had a lot of great success, leading those guys to the Division II National Championship and winning playoff games 3 years in a row. So he's coming to Hampton. They are going to Old Dominion, and they're going to be a team that a lot of people are going to have their eyes on to see whether or not Connell Maynor can do some of the things at the Division I level that he did at the Division II level. Then also you've got Bethune-Cookman against Florida International. They did defeat Florida International last year, even though Florida International is an FBS team. So again, you're going to see kind of what Bethune-Cookman is made of. They were a strong FCS team last year, and they were able to beat an FBS opponent last year. So we'll see where they are this year. Then there's also FAMU traveling to Jackson, Mississippi in a MEAC SWAC battle. FAMU, of course, they had a downlit year last year. This year they're ineligible due to APR restrictions, but those guys come from a proud tradition, and you can bet that the Rattlers are going to definitely try to give their fans something to look forward to as they build towards the future. And you've also got Jackson State, where they are in a new era there under Coach Hugh Jackson. Coach Rick Comigi is gone. So they have been to the SWAC championship the last 2 years, and they're looking to go back again and actually win it this time, but it would be under the new leadership. So that's what we've got going on MEAC-wise. Over in the SWAC, a couple games to highlight. You've got Alabama State traveling to Sam Houston State. Alabama State lost Isaiah Crowell, but they still have a lot of talent there. Quarterback Daniel Duhart did some really good things his first year as a starter last year. And you've also got running back Malcolm Cyrus, who was a really good running back in relief of Crowell. Also on defense, you've got some good players there, so they're going to be a factor in the SWAC. Defending SWAC champs Southern are going to be taking on Louisiana Lafayette. They're going to be going without Trey Joseph and Lee Doss, so we'll see what those guys have and if they're going to be able to defend their title. Or I told you about Jackson State and FAMU. Then also you want to keep your eye on Prairie View and Texas Southern. That's the Labor Day Classic down there in Houston. Those two schools are really close rivals, and it's always an exciting game down there. We'll talk a little bit more about Prairie View in a little bit. Texas Southern has been struggling for the last couple of years, so they're going to be hoping to have a good showing and show that they are going to be competitive in the SWAC this year. And we'll finish it off with the kind of the showcase game of the week, and that's Alabama A&M versus North Carolina A&T, the MEAC SWAC Challenge. North Carolina A&T, those guys have built their program back up under Rod Broadway to where they are, again, a threat in the MEAC. So they're going to be looking to make a statement. Their first game is going to be national TV. And so we're going to see what those guys have. Alabama A&M, they underwent a coaching change. We're not really sure what we're going to see out of those guys. So the MEAC SWAC Challenge could be really good or it could be really ugly depending on who you're rooting for. So those are the highlights of the FCS schedule. Again, Division II really kicks off next week, so we'll talk more about them next week. But then you also have we also have our we're going to unveil our FCS power rankings for week 1. Number 5, we're going to go with North Carolina A&T. Those guys have again Rod Broadway has rebuilt that program. I mean, a couple years ago they were winless and just at the bottom of the barrel, and which he's kind of brought those guys back up to where they've been building, and so they really feel like this is their year to make a move and get to them and take that MEAC championship. They got a great running back in Tariq Cohen. He did wonders last year as a freshman, only should get better this year. They got a solid defense behind linebacker Devontae Grant. And so the Aggies are a factor in black college football again. Number 4, we've got Prairie View. Those guys have an explosive offense, and they have for years. The problem with those guys has been their defense. If they can get anything out of their defense this year, they're going to be a really tough team to beat in the SWAC because they've got a quarterback in Jerry Lovelock who can run the ball, he can throw the ball, he can do just about anything. They've got a great running game, some really great running backs, and they can just beat you in so many ways on offense if they don't beat themselves on defense. So number 3 on our list is South Carolina State. They lost a couple good players in Richard Q and Tyler McDonald, but those guys are very deep, very talented, and they have an excellent pass rush. Andrew Carter and those guys will get after the quarterback, and they will put him in the ground, and so it's just going to be a matter of how much they can get from their offense. Number 2 on our list, Bethune-Cookman. They've been to the playoffs the last 2 years. MEAC champs the last 2 years. So those guys have proven to be a program worth watching every year. And until someone proves them otherwise, we'll have to believe the same thing this year. And number 1 on our list is Tennessee State. Those guys last year had a really good season. They made it to the FCS playoffs in a bid. So they were able to win a playoff game, which is the first time that HBCU had done that since 1999. So with those credentials, plus the fact that they've got one of the best quarterbacks in black college football and in FCS football in Michael Germain, you've also got a great defense under Anthony Bass as a pass rusher, and Daniel Fitzpatrick, who picked off a lot of passes last year. Those guys are just a really good all-around team, and they're in the toughest conference out of any of the FCS teams, and they just seem to have that knack, and they're getting in that groove. They got a lot of talent, so those guys are into the season as our number 1 pick. Of course, it's a long season. A lot of things can and will change. We never know what's going to go on. That's one thing we definitely learned last year. So we will look forward to bringing you guys all the latest and greatest in HBCU sports news, highlights, photos, just kind of get you guys the information everywhere we can. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at HBCU Gameday. Make sure you like us on Facebook on HBCU Gameday, and make sure that you go to hbcugameday.com regularly to keep abreast of what's going on in the news. Again, my name is Stephen Gaither for HBCU Gameday, and you guys have a great day.